Simo Häyhä, the White Death who terrified the Soviet army. December 1939. Somewhere in the frozen forests of Finland, entire Soviet units were disappearing under mysterious circumstances. There were no artillery strikes, no machine guns, no explosions, only soldiers marching through the snow and suddenly falling dead. One shot, one body. Then silence again. The survivors began whispering about a ghost, a demon dressed in white. Nobody could see him. Nobody knew where he was hiding. And soon, Soviet soldiers gave him a name that would haunt them for generations: the White Death. But perhaps the most terrifying part of all, the man behind this nightmare was just a quiet farmer, barely 5 feet tall. Part 1. The Quiet Farmer. His name was Simo Häyhä, born in 1905 near the Russian border. He lived a simple life. He wasn't a famous officer. He wasn't a military genius. He wasn't even a professional soldier. During the day, he worked on his family's farm. On weekends, he hunted in the forests of Finland. To everyone around him, he seemed ordinary. But the wilderness taught him 2 things: patience and incredible marksmanship. After joining the Finnish Civil Guard, Simo spent thousands of hours practicing with his rifle. Nobody knew it at the time, but those countless hours of training were preparing him for one of the bloodiest conflicts in history. Part 2. The Winter War begins on November 30th, 1939. The Soviet Union invaded Finland. Joseph Stalin believed the war would be over in a matter of weeks. On paper, Finland had no chance. Roughly 80,000 Finnish soldiers against hundreds of thousands of Soviet troops. The Red Army possessed tanks, aircraft, heavy artillery. Everything favored the Soviet Union. But they underestimated one thing: the determination of the Finnish people. And especially one man, Simo Häyhä. Part 3. The Ghost in the Snow. Dressed completely in white camouflage, Simo disappeared into the frozen landscape. Temperatures often dropped below -40°C, yet he could remain perfectly still for hours, sometimes entire days. His weapon was simple: the Finnish .28/30 rifle. No fancy equipment, no modern optics, just experience and endless patience. Then the hunting began. Machine gunner. Bang. A Soviet officer. Bang. Another soldier. Bang. And after every shot, silence. The Soviets had no idea where death was coming from. Part 4. The Terrifying Secrets of the White Death. Why was he impossible to find? Because Simo understood something many snipers overlooked. He refused to use a telescopic scope. Sunlight reflecting from the glass could reveal his position. Instead, he used iron sights. He packed snow in front of his rifle to reduce muzzle blast. And perhaps his most chilling trick: he kept snow inside his mouth. Why? Because warm breath creates visible vapor in freezing temperatures. By holding snow in his mouth, he prevented that vapor from exposing him. Imagine walking through a forest, knowing someone is hunting you, knowing your friends are dying one by one, but never seeing the killer. That was the nightmare thousands of Soviet soldiers experienced. Part 5. The Red Army's Greatest Nightmare. Rumors spread throughout the Soviet ranks. The White Death is here. Those 4 words alone could destroy morale. The Soviets sent their own elite snipers. Many never came back. They fired artillery into entire forests. Still, he survived. Some units reportedly bombarded huge areas just to eliminate a single man. Think about that. One quiet farmer forcing one of the largest armies on Earth to change its tactics. Part 6. His Deadliest Day. December 21st, 1939. Simo achieved something almost unbelievable. 25 enemy soldiers killed in a single day. To the Finns, it was a Christmas gift. To the Soviet army, it was a nightmare. By the end of the Winter War, Simo Häyhä had accumulated more than 500 confirmed kills, a record that still stands among the highest in military history. But just when it seemed nobody could stop him, everything changed. Part 7. The Bullet That Almost Killed Him. March 6, 1940. A Soviet explosive bullet struck Simo directly in the face. The damage was catastrophic. Half of his face was shattered. He collapsed instantly. When fellow soldiers found him, many believed he was already dead. Rumors quickly spread that the White Death had finally been defeated. But fate had other plans. Simo remained unconscious for 11 days. And then, something remarkable happened. Part 8. The Man Who Returned from Death. On the very day Simo regained consciousness, the Winter War ended. He had survived, against all odds. After the war, Simo never sought fame. He never bragged about his achievements. He never turned himself into a celebrity. Instead, he returned to a peaceful life, hunting, raising dogs, living quietly in Finland. He would live until 2002, reaching the age of 96. Years later, when someone asked him how he became the deadliest sniper in history, Simo gave an incredibly simple answer. Just one word: practice. More than 80 years have passed, yet the name Simo Häyhä still commands respect throughout the military world. He wasn't the strongest man. He wasn't the tallest. He didn't possess advanced technology. But in the coldest winter imaginable, one silent farmer forced an entire army to live in fear. And perhaps the most terrifying truth about the White Death isn't that he killed more than 500 enemy soldiers. It's that most of them never even saw the face of the man who killed them. He was invisible. He was silent. And for the Soviet army, he became death itself.